So you've seen my family in a couple videos here and there, and you constantly ask about my favorites. So constantly. So here are some of my family favorites and not so favorites for you. I wanted to bring my family in for a little bit since we had circumstances about our set change a little bit. And thought we'd take advantage and kind of throw them in front of the camera. So they've been very nice and agreed to sit down with me for our second time. We won't talk about the first. And kind of let them share a little bit about some of their favorite park memories from different parks, Disney in particular, but all different things. So what's some of your favorite park memories, things that stand out?
I enjoy the pavilions at Epcot at Christmas time. I enjoy the different types of Santas, how they dress differently and look differently. I enjoy how the French Santa looks so incredibly different from the American Santa. I enjoy the alternative activity in front of the Japanese pavilion since they don't really have a Santa. I really enjoyed the story about the Norwegian elf and his mischievousness. I enjoy the foods, the crafts, and the culture that are displayed at the Epcot pavilions around Christmas time.
I think my favorite memory was the first time I went to Disneyland when I was really little. It was right after 9/11, and originally we weren't going to continue the trip because of 9/11, but we ended up going anyways because we've been planning it for months and we didn't want to give it up. And when we got there, I saw the whole castle and I started running up to it, and there was Minnie there, and I wanted to run up to her to give her a hug, but she ended up having to go inside because it was her break time, and I started crying because I thought she was going away from me, and then Mickey came out and saw me crying and gave me a kiss on the hand and started walking me up to the castle instead.
So the things I decided on were, there was the, when we had some group or something, I want to say it was like youth group or church group, something like that, I don't know, went to a little drink testing place, Sereno, in Epcot, and tried the Beverly, which was...
Yeah, Coca-Cola Corner.
Yeah, that thing.
Yep.
And it was an enlightening experience.
If you've never been there, it has a spot where you can try different Coke flavors from all around the world. Mexico, I can't remember, Costa Rica, and
like
a bunch of others. The one that everybody has to try if you've never been there is the one from Italy called the Beverly. It is the most unique flavor you're ever going to have, and we would take people who'd never been there before and line them up and have them all try it at the same time and get pictures of them. So, got to do the Beverly.
Their eyes turn white and fire comes out of their head. The other one was in Hollywood Studios, when it was MGM Studios in ancient days. During Christmas time, they had the dancing lights that was in their little street that looked like New York, and they had the two buildings on the side, and the whole building would light up and sync with music, and that was really cool. And then they had, like, at the end of it, they had soap being dropped from the top of the roof, which at first, at least from a distance anyway, looked a lot like snow, at least to my eye that had never seen snow before in my life at that point. And so that was really cool. But yeah, and then the other thing she was mentioning was when we were doing a commercial. Yeah, we were being extras for a commercial for Expedition Everest, which is the roller coaster at Animal Kingdom, and we got up at like 4 a.m. to do that when it was closed, and it was all empty and spooky and cool, and that was fun.
Yeah, got to ride the coaster before it was open to the public, and
Yeah.
first visit to Disney World at all ever, and we got to ride a roller coaster for the cameras. They got picked to ride early because they were cute, and I got to sit there and watch them ride over and over and over while I was waiting to ride. But then afterwards, they fed us that morning, and then we got to enjoy the park free for the rest of the day, which was really cool.
Another favorite memory would be right after 9/11. Everyone was terrified to go out in public, so we went to Disneyland, and there was no lines for anything, and we got to go to the Pinocchio ride and Winnie the Pooh, which turned out to be some of my favorites because I've never ridden them before, and I got to see the Heffalumps or whatever, the Woozles on Winnie the Pooh ride. And it was very fun, especially because that day you could just get off and go right back on, and there was no line, because after 9/11 everyone was spooked out to go to the park that week.
It was a mix of being a terrible time to go to the park and a wonderful time. Just the circumstances of the country were terrible, but Disney operates as a way to escape from all of that, and it very much was during that time. The cast members, I think, were just as happy to have people in the park as we were to be there. To help them take their minds off of what was going on too. So terrible time for the country, but a wonderful time for a trip. It turned out. Thinking about it, since you've had time to think about it now, do you think would be your worst time? Not just maybe at Disney, but at any theme park that you could remember.
I still don't really have any.
If it's at any theme park, well, last time we did the video, I had mentioned there was a friend that we took to the park who was acting like all of the rides were little kid rides and they were dumb, and it was really annoying me because it kind of spoiled my enthusiasm because I kept having to ride without them. But if it was the worst at any park, because I was just thinking of Disney earlier, it would probably be the couple of times that I've been really sick when we went, because there's been times when I was really little that I was having stomach problems, and there was a couple of times on vacation that I was legitimately throwing up sick, and I kept trying to go so that I could at least go for a little while, because it was the only time we were going to get to go during that trip, and I still ended up being sick at the park, and I felt bad because everyone else kept having to watch me instead of going out and having fun, and that's happens a few times because I get sick a lot.
So you mean like Magic Mountain a couple years ago?
Yeah, and Disney Quest, and a couple of times when I was little in California, we lived there still at Magic Mountain.
I think that, again, the worst memory I have is dropping George off at Epcot. He was working that day, and going out into the parking lot with Amber and Joseph when they were very little, and not knowing where my car was. And it was a very, very, very hot day. We wandered around. We all got hot, confused, and very scared. And suddenly, one of the park employees showed up on wheels and asked me and talked to us and calmed us down. And magically, we found our car out of the thousands of cars. So that really was a frightening experience.
I've had a lot of moments.
Okay, so what moments?
When in Florida, because Florida is hot and humid and swampy, and I don't feel like it was meant to be inhabited. I had a lot of moments where I would get headaches and heat, allergies, and stuff like that. That would just kind of put me out of commission for the rest of the day, and so that sucked a lot. But that wasn't like any one memory or anything. That was just like a lot of moments and stuff. Or when people just kind of forgot how to like walk in a crowd.
Oh, that's annoying.
Just stand in the middle of a walkway, or
Or if they need to tie their shoe, they just bend over when everyone else is behind them.
Yeah, they're walking along and they just stop in front of you.
So I don't really have any bad or worst memories, just a lot of tiny moments scattered everywhere, sprinkled.
Okay, so favorite ride at Disney, or any park, but Disney in particular.
I like the fantasy ones with Winnie the Pooh, Disneyland, Peter Pan, Pinocchio. I'm not sure they have the Alice in Wonderland one anymore.
That's at Disneyland, yep.
Yeah, that one. I like the Fantasyland ones, particularly because I didn't grow up with any fantasy type memories. It was a very realistic, hardcore, working hard childhood. So that was something I grew into as an adult. It was nice.
The favorite ride I said was Peter Pan was really cool because, like, it seems like just one of those little kids rides on the outside on the surface, but it's really cool because when you actually go in it, you're in this little boat, that's on a track that's like suspended above you, but it's so dark in it that you can't see the track at all, and they have this little miniature city below you, and it actually feels like you could be like floating around, and you can sometimes see the ships in front of you too, so they even look like they're just floating around above it, and it's really cool looking. And then Soarin' was really cool, Mission Space was really cool, but they all had really long lines, so I couldn't do them a lot.
I like the immersive ones where it's like everything is happening around you and it feels like you're part of the story. Like, I think Star Tours was my very favorite. Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror is my other very favorite. And
there's people that think Tower of Terror make you go hop, but
Barfing in that would be so bad.
then it lands on
Ew. Like barfing in
Now,
yourself.
Soarin', just to be clear, is that the one that had the views of California?
Yes, it used to be Soaring Over California. It's now changed to Soaring Over the World or Around the World or
When
something.
it was Soaring Over California, I like to smell the fragrance they put in there of the orange groves, because I immediately felt like I was back in Fillmore or Santa Paula or some of the orange groves in Southern California near my house, and I seem to recognize parts of California that I haven't lived in for a long time.
It was kind of neat because when I was Soaring Over California, we had lived in or visited almost every single part of it.
and I like the Great Movie Ride. That one's good too.
I liked the ride where you were in a boat in a canal. What was that called?
The Storybook Land canal boats at Disneyland.
And it has a little village all around. Unlike It's a Small World, it was tastefully done in such a way
Small World is untasteful.
that felt almost romantic at night when it was
Small
dark,
World is not romantic.
and
She's not talking about her.
it just
She's
gave
an
a feeling of mystery that was pleasant as you're going through the water.
So wait, you mean you don't think all those little dolls going, "It's a small world" was romantic?
I enjoyed it when I was 10,
It's like a mating
and
call.
after about 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay, least favorite ride.
Okay, so I really hate the jamboree, the
Country Bear Jamboree.
Country Bear Jamboree.
I love Country
I
Bears.
hated it because I don't
great.
like country music to start off with. And then I found the storyline was a little bit on the wimpy side. And then far worse was what I believe we called the Tiki Room.
Yep.
With really, really odd songs and even odder costuming
Tiki, tiki, tiki,
in
tiki,
the
tiki
poor
room.
little animals that they tried to portray. That was a very shockingly disturbing performance.
I just don't think you like hearing animatronic sing.
Perhaps if they were musically inclined.
That's
See,
racist.
We'd go to the Country Bear Jamboree and I would always get in trouble afterwards because I would start singing along and you would yell at me. You know, walk along the streets going, "There was blood on the saddle and blood on the ground." And usually by then I'd get told to shut up.
I remember one that I was scared of, but then I kept insisting on going on it so I could stop being scared.
Wait, what was that?
The dinosaur one, because the T-Rex at the end.
Oh, yeah, you guys were both scared of that one for a long time.
It
Did-
had good jump scares on it.
Yeah, I would say there was a couple years you definitely didn't really like that ride.
I don't remember one that I dislike now, though. I like the People Mover, and I like the little race cars, and
Well, see, for me, I wouldn't mind seeing Indy Raceway disappear, but
it's a classic.
it's boring and takes up lots of room
It's part of the People Mover announcement.
and runs people over. And okay, now that would actually make it exciting, is if you could run people over and get away with it. But they don't let you. Targets, points.
I liked the theming in Tomorrowland too. I do think they've changed a lot of that, haven't they?
Yeah, it's hard to keep Tomorrowland actually tomorrow. It keeps catching up.
You know, I really liked the Halloween fireworks where the pirates bombarded the castle.
Oh, for the Pirates and Princess Party.
I thought that was Halloween.
Yeah, they did Pirates and Prince. They did it one other time too, a little bit. Yes, when they blew the castle up.
Because the fireworks would go off right near the castle, and so it looked like they were actually bombing the castle, led by Captain Hook.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fairy godmother would have to come in and save the day.
Yeah, if you want to see that, it's actually my Pirates and Princess video about the parties.
It was really
So you can
cool.
look that up. So.
The parade was really cool too.
I think we all, though, found it very shocking, though, when we got crowds and queues that seemed to take up everyone's spaces, like the Brazilian tour group.
Yeah.
That was a shocking memory. It's not a good or a bad one. It was a shocking one. I remember one day being with my daughter,
And Joseph.
and Joseph was separated with George, and about 50 people come charging through the tape and around the queue and just charged in front of us with their leader with a little flag deal.
The way I remember it was that all 4 of us were together, not separated, and then they came charging through.
Yes, and they separated us.
And they separated Joseph, and Joseph was stuck up in front of like 60 people in front of the line who were crowding so much that they wouldn't let him get back to us, and he was all by himself.
So when we got up there, the ride operator just kind of called Amber and I apart from the crowd that had jammed between us, and much to their horror allowed us on before them, and they just milled around the loading area all out of a line and disorganized. So that was a rather shocking experience at Disney.
Yeah, that was more confusing to me.
It was confusing.
But that was rare.
Oh.
So anyways, that's some of their thoughts and feelings and favorites, and hope you enjoyed that. A little look at what all the family is. So don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'd love to hear your comments too.